Hey there. For today's episode, with spring break coming up, if you haven't already had it, and summertime coming, I want to share a popular episode that we had where we actually talk about how to make the most of your college visits, how to make the most of the time that you have, and being able to just make sure that you are on track and have some helpful hints and tips to maximize your vacations and your timeline. So stay tuned. Visiting college campuses is an exciting part of the college search process. Today, I'm going to share about how two of the families I work with planned their visits, saved money, had great conversations and family time, and were able to learn about whether the colleges were a potential fit for their student. Hey there, I'm Courtney, and I'm the founder of Confused to College Ready. With over 15 years experience as a mental health therapist turned school counselor, I am bringing my experience and expertise to help you navigate the college search experience. My goal is to serve students and their families and unlock the secrets to college searching. Stay tuned. Wikipedia defines efficiency as the often measurable ability to avoid wasting materials, energy, efforts, money, and time in doing something or in producing a desired result. That efficiency is something that I want to help you with as you are navigating when, where, and how to make the most of your college visits. In March of 2020, everything changed. And it changed in so many different ways. There are countless stories and tales, and I know that you as a family, you have your own unique story of how the pandemic has impacted you. That pandemic also changed what we were able to do with college visits. So today I'm going to give some general information, but it's always best for you to check with the colleges to see what their specific policies are regarding any kind of visits. So it could be that you are looking at a virtual visit. It could be that there is a presentation that's happening and you're joining via Zoom or a Google Meet or some other type of meeting. Or it might be that you're face-to-face. So let's learn a little bit about the two students that I worked with. So Maddie is and just so you're aware, I've changed the names to protect my students' privacy. But Maddie is, she was a sophomore. And she had several different career areas in mind, but they were really pretty broad. They were very different potential careers. She didn't know what school she was interested in. And then Jackson was a junior, and he knew his general major, what he thought he wanted to do, had those potential career interests, and then also had a list of his must-haves and his can't-stands. You will find more information about those must-haves and can't-stands if you go back and listen to our episodes on how to find the right college. So Maddie, we started working together at the beginning of her sophomore year. And one of the things that we discussed is starting early. So if you are past sophomore year and you still don't know where you're looking, it's okay. Your timeline is just going to be more condensed than what Maddie's was. So with Maddie and her family, we discussed incorporating any kind of trips that they were taking, whether it be that they were going to her mom and dad's alma mater for a football game, or they were going to visit family friends that lived a little ways away, and so they were going to pass some colleges on the way. Maybe it was a weekend trip that they were going to take. That schedule coordination was really hard for Maddie and her family because Maddie had her own extracurricular activities. She had her younger siblings. Mom and dad had their work schedule. And so they really wanted to make sure that they were planning ahead so that they could maximize that time and be efficient with what they were doing and how they were spending their money. So when we talked with Maddie, we looked at, did she want to go to a 2-year school or was she interested in a 4-year? She looked at those, like I said before, the must-haves and the can't stand. So episodes 2, 5, and 7 are going to cover the first 3 steps in how to find the right college. When Maddie lived, when we looked at the colleges, we took a look at what schools were close to her and then also what ones are further away to determine if a weekend trip would be sufficient or if they were going to need to take a longer trip and take some more time. Some of the schools that Maddie was looking at, they had only virtual visits and she was not able to have a specific tour of buildings or other things on that campus. What she did do in those instances is she still went and they drove through the campus and even parked and walked around some to see what was going to be the best. Did it feel like it was a good fit? Then with the face-to-face, there were some of the campuses where a college employee talked to them and actually walked them around campus. There were others where they got out of the car and they walked around a little bit on their own. In the next episode, I'm going to talk more about questions to ask your college admissions officers. So when that rep wasn't around, they didn't have someone to give them a specific tour of the campus. They still would drive around. They paid attention to, was it something that Maddie felt like she could see herself there? And that's going to be really critical for any student. You are investing a significant amount of your time and your money in being at these colleges, and you want to make sure it's something that you're going to feel really, truly comfortable with. So once Maddie had looked at those must-haves and can't stands, she looked at the types of colleges that were close to her and where she could go for those quick trips. She went ahead and she took some of those quick trips to see, you know what, is this private college something that I'm interested in? It's a smaller campus. It has XYZ factors about it. I like this part of it. I don't like that part. That helped her to know where to look next. She wanted to make sure that she visited all of the different types of colleges to make sure that she didn't rule something out based on opinion or what someone else had said. So she looked at smaller schools. She looked at larger schools. She looked at public and private. She looked at the location. Was it somewhere that it was near the city or had easy access to things to do for fun on the weekends? Or was it somewhere that it was further out and that she was really going to have to drive a ways to be able to get to a mall or the stores or different things? And that also makes a difference as far as transportation when you're on campus. So looking at those potential majors, that was another piece that was important to Maddie. She then planned to, as she wanted to narrow down and be able to have a list of some of the schools, they also decided that they were going to take their winter break and they were going to spend some time during that couple of weeks and they were going to travel to try and hit some other colleges that weren't within that weekend driving distance. So that really helped Maddie be able to narrow down what her interests were. And then she took some additional time in figuring out what was going to be the best fit and being able to narrow down her choices. So that was something that, like I said, when we first started discussing Maddie, that she had started at the beginning of her sophomore year. If you're past sophomore year, if you're into junior year, if you're into senior year, and you're still not sure what you want, like I said, this might be a condensed timeline, but you still are going to have some time. Maybe you're going to do some more virtual. Maybe you're going to have some more of those conversations with people over the phone or in a virtual meeting. So Jacob is our other student who I want to tell you about. He and his family came to me in Jacob's junior year. He had done a lot of the initial visits that Maddie had already completed. He knew the type of college he was interested in. He knew that he actually didn't even need to go on many of the initial visits because he knew what major he wanted. He knew what he was looking for. He actually had gone with family over winter break and previous vacations. They had traveled actually across the country to see, as they were visiting family, to see if some of the colleges that were near where his family were going to be a potential fit. He had conversations with admissions reps when they came to his school. He reached out to those admissions representatives. He made sure that he was attending virtual visits, and he'd narrowed his choices down to a couple of, to about 8 to 10 schools, and he wanted to narrow things down even more. So Jacob and his family made a plan over spring break that they were going to travel to the top 5 schools that were within driving distance out of those 8 to 10. They planned other parts of their vacation around the colleges that they were going to be able to go visit. So it wasn't a vacation that was solely focused on going to those colleges, but that they got the most bang for their buck, and they were truly efficient as they had some of that fun family time, and they were able to navigate and discuss the colleges. So Jacob really wanted to make sure that he could see himself on the college campus. It was important to him to know that, like I said earlier, it was important for him to know that he was going to be comfortable and confident being there for at least the 4 years. And then he was even looking into a potential master's degree. So it was important for him to make sure that he had everything that he needed in order to stay on top of the college list and being able to feel confident in the decisions that he was making. After Jacob went on that trip, he had narrowed that list down to something that was going to be manageable as far as his applications. He also knew that these were going to be some of the pieces that were going to help him as he was writing his essays and going through everything with the college applications. Jacob felt like he was truly in a great spot. So I mentioned that both of these students worked with me. We have a lot of resources available for students that are meeting with me for one-on-one coaching, or even with the classes that we're going to be offering. And there are, like I said, in our next episode, we're going to talk about different questions, and I am here to help you come up with that list to be able to identify the things that you are most interested in, and even come up with a timeline and plan of how you can maximize your time and be efficient. If you would like to spend some time with me for that one-on-one coaching, or to be able to have some time together just to give you some additional support, please send me an email at admin@confusedtoready.com. You also can download our guide on how to get started with your college and career search. And it truly is always a pleasure to talk with you and to serve you and your student. If there's anything I can help with, please let me know. Take care. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. Please subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Confused to Ready, and download our free guide on how to start or expand your college search at confusedtoready.com/how to start.